Good evening, everybody. We're going to bring this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer and meditation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Pizzo, do we have any changes to tonight's agenda?
A few, Mr. Polari. Item 4 on this evening's agenda, which is a conditional use hearing for New Singular Wireless doing business as AT&T. This afternoon we received correspondence from counsel for the applicant requesting a continuance of this evening's hearing and asking that it be rescheduled for your council meeting of May 24, 2021. In the correspondence, the council has granted an extension of all applicable time requirements under the MPC. So if council is of a mind, motion would be in order to table this evening's hearing to a date certain of May 24, 2021.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Ed Tokmasian, second by Joe Knowles. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Mr. Kisselbeck will not be with us this evening, so we're going with 4 this evening. Keep him in our prayers.
Then as to item 6, preliminary and final land development for Costa Homes, and item 7, which is the Act 537 resolution for the property at 4946 Neshaminy Boulevard, which is the Costa Homes property. As to those 2 items, we received correspondence from counsel for the applicant earlier this afternoon, asking that this evening's hearing be tabled, and again requesting that the matter be rescheduled for the council meeting of May 24, 2021. Again, they have granted an extension of time under the MPC through the end of June 2021. So if council is of a mind, appropriate action would be to table items 6 and 7 to a date certain of May 24, 2021.
Motion would be in order.
Mr. Paley, I'll make that motion to table items number 6 and number 7 to a date certain of May 24th.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Vote aye.
Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0.
Those are the only changes to this evening's agenda of which I'm aware.
Thank you, Mr. Pizzo. We're going to do the public comment as we move forward for the agenda items. Number 3 is approval of council minutes for meeting date March 8th, 2021. Do we have any additions or corrections?
Mr. Polari, I had one correction on the last page. Item 16, the adjournment. It actually says that Vice President Knowles motioned and seconded.
Okay.
So,
Who made the second?
I think it was Tokmasian.
Tokmasian.
We kind of look alike, so we should recognize.
That was the only correction I had.
That's fine. If
Look alike.
there's no other addition or corrections, then a motion would be in order.
Make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from March 8th as corrected.
Do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
All right, we'll give that one to Knowles. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Thank you. Number 5 on the agenda, consideration of a lot line change for James Kelly, 3132 Prospect Avenue, proposed use residential, zoning classification R1, tax parcel 2-4-239 and 2-4-239-1.
Mr. Kelly has been admitted into the virtual meeting. Good evening, Mr. Kelly.
Yes, good evening.
Okay, Mr. Kelly, would you like to tell us what you're looking to do?
I would like to take the line that divides Lot 1 and Lot 2 and just make that a straight line so that I can create two normal-sized lots, rectangular, rather than the non-conforming lot. They're not so much non-conforming, but they're like flag lots. I tried selling this property, the one with the house on it, that would be Lot 2, back in 2008, 2009, and although people love the house, just because of that property in the back, nobody wanted to purchase it because of that. Now, I was before this meeting, or this council, on the 8th of March, and I was told I have to go to the zoning board. I did do that. I received approval for that from them.
Okay, do you have your letter from T&M Associates?
I do.
Let's go to Chapter 201 subdivision and land development. You already told us you went to zoning and got the approval.
Yes.
You want to go through those one by one and let us know where you are with those? And if there's any
Okay.
questions, Russ will come to you, okay?
Okay. Now on C1, that's the one I already received, obtained approval with the zoning board.
Right, we're going to Section D. We already went, Section D is right below that,
Okay,
Chapter
D1.
201 subdivision and land development.
Okay, D1, I will comply on that.
Okay,
Same with number 2, I will comply. Same with the second part of number 2, revise the plans to address the following A and B. I will comply on that. Number 3 is a will comply. Also number 4, a will comply. Number 5, will comply. And number 6, it will comply. Number 7, it's talking about the wetlands. I'd ask for a waiver on that. There are no wetlands in that area, at least not in the several streets surrounding my area there. I know there's an industrial park, a 3/4 of a mile or so away, and I know there's possibly some wetlands back in there, but it has nothing to do with my area.
Mr.
Russ?
Kelly, Mr. Kelly, if you can just have your engineer put a note on the plan saying there's no wetlands. It doesn't have to be from any wetland scientist. We're familiar with the area too.
Okay.
But have him just put a note. If he has any issues with that, just have him call me.
Yeah, I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem.
All right?
Okay.
okay, so that'll be a will comply, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Number 8?
Okay, number 8. Oh, the sewage facility planning module. I'm going to ask that would be waived for the time being. I don't have any plans for a construction, a particular house on it at this time. I would do a will comply at the time of construction, so I would get that so that it would be based on whatever house I put on there.
Mr. Kelly, the reason we asked for this is when we have one of these subdivisions, and it is a subdivision plan, DEP has told us that they want to see a mailer, even if it's a waiver at this point in time for them. Because we had troubles where we've had these lots created, the builder then, a couple of years later, comes in and applies, and DEP goes, whoa, wait, was that lot created as a result of a subdivision? And we say yes, and then we usually, they say, we don't want that, we want at the time of the subdivision some type of mailer sent in And they may waive the requirement because there's no house construction associated with it, but at least we get a record for it. Because once again, they've been telling us that the process should be subdivision, planning module, and then if they give you a waiver, if there's a house ever built on the vacant lot, then you can apply for that. But they have to know that that lot was part of the subdivision and they saw it.
Okay, I should be able to obtain that then by the time all these changes
Yeah, it
are
should
made
be
and presented
correct.
to the council
Correct.
again.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's pretty, yeah, because it's very easy for them because there's no building associated with it, but you still have to go through the process.
So that'll be a will comply then?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, sure.
Okay, number 9?
Number 9 down through 11 is all will comply. Number 10 will comply, number 11 will comply.
Okay, Russ, do you have anything to add to this?
No.
Does anybody on the board have any questions for Mr. Kelly? If there's no questions, then a motion would be in order.
And before a motion, I would just also want the record to reflect, as Mr. Kelly alluded to, this matter was originally on your agenda for the council meeting of March 8th. It was tabled to a date certain of this evening at that time to allow Mr. Kelly the opportunity to go secure the zoning approvals, which he has since secured.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pizzo.
Mr. Kelly, are you selling the property as an empty lot, or are you planning on constructing a home there and then selling that?
I do plan on putting a house on that property.
Okay. And you were not able to do that in the other configuration?
I could. The main problem was Lot 2 that currently has a house. The Lot 1 was stealing property off the back of that. That was the main problem.
The minimum area requirement, right? I
Yeah.
understand.
I think this made it cleaner, like a clean cut too, where
Right.
not
Yeah,
flag lot looking.
I agree. Okay.
And
Thank you.
we have, I'm not doubting anybody's word, but we have something with it too, that there's a verification that the zoning approved what we're approving tonight, right?
Yes, zoning heard all this and they approved it, was unanimous.
Yeah, because you just got it quick, which is good, because your letter asked to extend till June 2021 in June. So I thought it was going to take you longer than you
Okay.
did. You succeeded in getting that done. That's a good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Pizzo, do we have verification that variance was granted? Because there's no paperwork in our packets about that. I think we all just want to make sure that is fully processed and accurate.
I personally do not, but obviously, if it's not, then the grant of the variances is and was a condition of approval. So if by chance Mr. Kelly is misrepresenting what happened, and I sincerely doubt that he is, but if by chance he were, then your action this evening would be null and void because securing the necessary variances was and is and will be a condition of approval.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Mr. Pizzo.
And I do have that form here with all the signatures of the zoning board there.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe you, Mr. Kelly. It's just we don't have the paper in front of us, so
Okay.
I figured I'd ask the attorney to make
Okay.
sure we understood the legal
We
implications.
asked for June to delay it till June, so I thought it was.
Generally speaking, the zoning hearing board would have met in the beginning of this month. The written decision wouldn't be issued until after this meeting, but they did vote at the last meeting to render the approval or denial.
And
Okay, I'm-
Building and planning won't give them the permit unless they have that in hand. So I'm sure that Russ will check on that and make sure that it's there.
Yeah, and I did confirm with Ken when I was at the township on Thursday. We went over it and he showed me the same piece of paper that Mr. Kelly has confirming that in fact it was approved by the zoning hearing.
Okay, so I'm ready to make a motion if that's okay.
Okay, no other questions, the motion's in order.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the lot line change for James Kelly, 3132 Prospect Avenue, tax parcel 24239 and 24239-1 was first presented to us on March 8th, and we tabled it till tonight. And it would be based on having received the variance from the zoning board as stated, and that everything in under C for zoning that would be approved, and then the subdivision and land development, chapter 201, everything 1 through, I believe, 11, is a will comply. And that's my motion that we approve this subdivision lot line change.
Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Good luck, Mr. Kelly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Good luck.
Okay, number 8 on the agenda, consideration and signing of agreement for Waterside Phase 3, State Road Residential Units, MXD Mixed Use Development District, Tax Parcel 2-65-22. Mr. Pizzo?
Yes. As council may recall, these items were tabled from your meeting in March. There was some question that had arisen as to the architectural styles and materials for the third phase, if they were compliant and comported with the township's approvals for this project. Since the time of the last meeting, Building and Planning has been out, has photographed the entire development. We thereafter met with representatives of Lennar, have established what the criteria are and need to be going forward. The units do comply currently, but not quite to the extent that they otherwise could, and so there has been an understanding and an agreement on the part of Lennar that there will be additional architectural variations, if you will, in terms of the materials for the units, porches, patios, shutters, things like that on the front. And the way that we will assure that things remain compliant is that the developer will be submitting with the building permits for each of the future units, building elevations and material descriptions that'll be reviewed by the township and signed off on before the building permits are issued. So the administration is satisfied that the concerns that were raised have been addressed and will continue to be addressed going forward, and therefore the agreements are otherwise fully funded and in a condition acceptable for your consideration and approval this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Pizzo. Do you have any questions from council? If not, a motion would be in order.
Actually, I just have a quick question, Mr. Polari.
Go ahead.
I know there was some discussion in terms of the other project on Galloway. Did you have a chance, Mr. Pizzo, since you had spoken to Lennar, was there any update, Victory Square I'm referring to, was there any update in terms of Victory Square? I know we had talked about that at the last meeting in terms of bringing them into a council meeting. Was there any progress on that?
Following your last meeting, there was a meeting at the township with representatives of Lennar to discuss the Victory Square project, which obviously is a separate project from Waterside Phase 3. Perhaps Russ, Quinton, or the mayor could fill you in a little better as to what was discussed were the items that were brought forward during the council meeting of March 8th from the residents, primarily concerns about the date for construction of the tot lot, a variety of stormwater management issues involving individual lots in the project overall, when the basin would be converted from what it is now to a fully functioning detention basin, and of course the installation of a wearing course on the road that serves the development. The developer obviously shared with the township at that time issues, both many of which were COVID-related in terms of construction, in terms of material supplies and the like, that had led to some of those items, namely the tot lot, not yet being in place. The township was provided a timeline for that to happen. The township also went out and walked the site, I believe. Quentin and Russ nod yes or no if I'm incorrect, but the township did go out following the March 8 meeting and walk the site. And all of the items from the township's inspection were also reviewed with Lennar at that meeting. So having said all of that, now I'll turn it over to Russ or Quentin.
Yeah, and Quentin, jump in if I say anything incorrectly. But essentially, here's what's been done since then. One, the tot lot has been installed, and the developer is currently completing the detention basin, finalization of the detention basin, as well as beginning to work on some of the grading problems that had occurred on some of the properties out there. I believe he's done one or two, but he has a comprehensive list from us to go ahead and complete that work. And then in June, he is scheduled to go ahead and complete the final paving. Is that correct, Quentin?
I believe so, yes. I think there's more. There's a couple less that were actually worked on, maybe more like 4 or 5.
Obviously, unless and until all of the major construction items are complete, the wearing course would be the last thing to be installed in the development. You don't want to put down your final paving only to have construction vehicles then come in and tear it up while they're working on the basin or installing the tot lot. So that's why that item would be the last thing and stretched out a little later into the summer. But rest assured, gentlemen, immediately following that meeting, the mayor tasked all of us to get right on it. The developer was brought in the next week, and again, we went over all of the items regarding Victory Square. We went over the items regarding Waterside. So it was a fairly comprehensive meeting.
All right, that's satisfactory. Thank you very much. I appreciate the follow-up on that.
Mr. Pizzo, was there any discussion, and I know this is not something that the township has purview over, but any discussion about the personal home issues that the residents are having with the home construction? I know this came up with Waterside a year or two ago, and we actually had Lennar come in, and we were able to work with them to make sure they were addressing the residents' needs. Have we done that here with Victory Square?
All of the comments that council and the mayor received at the March meeting were shared with Lennar. They were given copies of all of those emails, all of those comments. So everything that all of you heard, they were provided with. And obviously, and again, the mayor can certainly, I'm sure he will be modest in regard to the fact that he did give them something of a Dutch uncle talking to as to what needs to be done and how the township expects our residents to be getting nothing but the highest quality construction from them in all of the projects that they're building in our township.
That's correct, Joe. And I think they're going to comply with that. They heard everything, and I had faith that what they're doing on the outside now is being done as we speak. As far as the problems on the homes itself, things on the inside, I don't know, Quentin, if you hear anything, or Russ, I don't. I haven't heard anything on the people's the construction of the home part.
I haven't heard anything on the interior home. I know the warranty division was looking into all the complaints, but I'm not sure of a status on those.
I drove by, and it does look like that some of the yards of the individual residents were completely regraded and seeded, and they had hay out, and looked like they were all graded towards a drain. So I think a lot of the flooding issues are at least addressed. on
The outside stuff they're doing,
Looks like they're doing.
no question about that.
Oh, I'm sure they'll take care of
But,
the,
but to answer Jesse's question,
yeah.
we don't really, unless the people complain, we don't go into their house after they have a UNO. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Russ?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Pizzo, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate that.
Do we have any other questions? If not, a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we sign the agreements for Waterside Phase 3 State Road Residential for Land Development Improvement Agreement and the Stormwater Best Management Practices Operation and Maintenance Agreement as presented.
I'll second it, Mr. Polari.
Thank you. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Number 9 on the agenda, consideration and signing of an agreement with Bensalem MZL LLC, Kmart Shopping Center, 1749 and 1837 Street Road, grocery store and retail unit, General Commercial District, tax parcel 2-43-305 and 2-43-3051. Mr. Pizzo.
Thank you, Mr. Polari. Again, just as in the case of what we just did for Waterside Phase 3, in this case, we have the Land Development Improvements Agreement for Bensalem MZL. As Mr. Polari described, this is for the former Kmart site on Street Road for the new grocery and furniture store that are scheduled to take over that space. The agreements have been prepared by our office, have been signed by the developer. All of the funds called for under the agreements have been posted by the developer, and the agreements are in order for your consideration and approval at this time.
Do we have any questions from the board?
I just wanted to confirm for the public that this is still going to be an Amazon market, because there was a article in the paper and got on social media that Amazon was bragging about how many markets they were opening in Bucks County, and apparently this location wasn't included. And I thought maybe it was a market as opposed to a grocery store, but it is a grocery store. And then people were saying that they didn't count it because it's so close to Philadelphia. They felt it was in Bucks County, which is really not good. But I just want to confirm that this is an Amazon market that's going in there still, right?
The developer, for its reasons, has remained somewhat tight-lipped whenever the public inquires, but it is perhaps the worst-kept secret in Bensalem that the site is slated to be an Amazon grocery store and an Ashley furniture store. So that, to the best of the township's knowledge, remains the case today, as it has been all along.
Mr. Knowles, I picked up the phone and called the attorney for the Amazon people, and he confirmed with them there is no changes. They are not shipping it off to somebody else. It will be an Amazon supermarket and a furniture store, as Joe has said.
Okay, thank you.
I guess we have no idea when the planned opening is.
They're certainly swinging hammers out there, but no, I don't know what, if the township, I don't think, has received an anticipated ribbon cutting date yet.
Okay, all right. Either way, it's just nice to see that property cleaned up.
Yeah, they did a nice job so far.
Yep. I agree.
Any other questions to the board? If not, a motion would be in order.
Mr. Blair, I'll make the motion that we,
Go ahead.
sorry, Jess. Go ahead, Jess, you're good.
I'll make the motion that we approve the Land Development Improvements Agreement for Bensalem MZL at 1749 and 1837 Street Road.
I'll second it.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Number 10 on the agenda, consideration signing of a land development extension agreement for Bensalem 21 LLC, 1301 Bristol Pike, tax parcel -2-29-474. Mr. Pizzo?
Yes, as council is asked from time to time, the land development agreements, similar to the ones you just approved in the last two items, come up for their deadlines, and the developer will request an extension of the agreements. Such is the case for Bensalem 21 LLC for their property at 1301 Bristol Pike. The developer is asking for a one-year extension of the agreement out to March 18, 2022. If council is of a mind to grant the request, it would be so with the recommendation of the administration that an audit be performed of their escrow by the engineer and the finance department to make sure that sufficient funds remain for the completion of the project. The agreement is otherwise in a form acceptable for your consideration and approval this evening.
Any questions from the board?
Do we know what the status of that project is at this point?
I'll hand that off to the engineers. I'm afraid I don't.
Yeah, Quentin, you were out there actually today, met with the contractor. Why don't you bring council up to date on that?
Sure. So basically, several months ago, there was an existing electric utility line that would kind of put a stop on everything for the stormwater. That's got resolved 2 weeks ago. I talked to a contractor that was working on the job today, and he says they're still waiting for PICO to come back out, which they have no time frame on that. As soon as that's done, they can finish that up and finish the paving around the entrance driveway at that location. Parking lot's already been paved and striped. It's just pretty much waiting for PICO to get their utilities out of the way for the stormwater. That could be months. They're not sure. It's been 6 to 8 months that they waited to get it in. So
I'm assuming that they can't get the UNO without all of that happening ahead of time, correct?
correct. Yeah, the stormwater's got to be all functioning and everything else on site. So that's the last thing, basically, as far as I know. I mean, there's some signs I think that need to be addressed, but minor issues for the most part.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? If not, a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we sign and grant the land development extension agreement for Bensalem 21 LLC, 1301 Bristol Pike, as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Any question on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Polari, I'll vote nay. I originally voted against the project.
Okay, so it's 3-1. Thank you. Number 11 on the agenda is consideration of the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Program. Mr. Mayor, are you handling that?
Yeah, we could do it. Joe and I could both do it. But anyway, you got the memo from me. We do this every year. This is kind of our HUD money. It spells out in there how the money's going to be used. You all have it in front of you, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. So it's self-explanatory, and we're looking for the okay from the council.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the mayor?
Go ahead, Ed.
For the community block grant, Mayor, who, understanding the issues with Mr. Samori, who is going to be managing these at this point?
It'll be John Tchaikovsky.
John? Okay. All right. Second question is, I noticed
And Bill Samori's assistant, Cindy Terlecki, also worked with John as she did with Bill, so that they work together.
Okay. Fair enough, thank you. Second question, I noticed the senior center improvements is included with this, and I do know it's needed. Just out of curiosity, is the senior center open? Do you know?
It has not opened yet. We're it's a senior center to begin with.
No, I know that. Yeah, no, I realize that.
And so as we speak, it has not been opened yet. And
Okay.
I don't think it'll be open until we really have this thing to where we can say that people have their shots and that they're kind of the governor saying things are okay to do that. Right now, it's not.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I didn't know what the plan was. I do know it was it's a great asset to
Oh
have.
my God, yeah, absolutely.
And discussions and plans are underway to, as to what will happen when, as the mayor said, when we get to that point where the county area on aging the township, the other governmental agencies are all comfortable with the facility opening. It's constantly, as is true with everything regarding COVID, it's constantly being looked at and evaluated so that, because there are a number of issues, just like opening this building. There are a number of issues you just don't turn around the next day after having been closed for the better part of a year from a pandemic and say, okay, we're open. There are, any number of issues that have to come into consideration for the reopening of the building. We don't know from day to day what the governor is going to require as far as the number of people who are allowed inside of the building, how many are allowed, what distance they're allowed to be within one another, whether they're going to be required to wear masks. So all of that factors in as well.
Understood. All right. Thank you.
It's a good time to bring up about Bill Samora. You all know he's been out. It was 7 weeks today. He's still in the hospital, doing better. Finally, he's doing better. So in his absence, really, we've all, including myself, we're working every day together and all of this. And when you asked me about this, John and I and Cindy, so we're all taking our share in what we had to do to pick up the slack. And we're doing it. No question about it. I just want you to know that so you feel safe about we're getting the job done. And we are there. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor.
And keep him in your prayers, by the way.
Any other questions to the board?
If anybody has any questions, well, actually, I guess for the public's information, because it hasn't been said yet, this money is being allocated to housing rehabilitation programs, senior center improvements, as Councilman Tukmajian alluded to, homeless shelter funding, and then program administration. The housing rehabilitation program, if anybody has questions, who do they contact for information on how they can apply for these loans?
It would have been Bill Samora. You can contact me or John Tchaikovsky.
Okay, so the finance department or the mayor's office.
Yep, absolutely.
And these are for deferred payment loans of up to $15,000 for low and moderate income residents, township wide.
Exactly.
So hopefully people will take advantage of those.
Oh, they do.
Yes,
do, Jez.
they tend to be, because I'm in real estate and I run into this a lot, but they tend to be senior citizens or low-income people, and they tend to be to make their homes safe. So it tends to be things like roofs. If you have a roof that's leaking, you can't afford to fix, heating, windows, electrical work, and then they have contractors who are approved who do the work for under the $15,000. And then they don't pay the loan back until the actual, there's no payments, but the loan does get paid back when the property eventually sells. And that restores it for other people in the future. So that's kind of the way it works.
That's great.
Okay, any other questions? If not, then a motion would be in order to accept.
I'd like to,
I'll make the motion that we approve the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Program as submitted.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Number 12 on the agenda is a consideration of a resolution authorizing and approving for the submission and filing of an application for funds under the Bucks County Open Space Program. Mr. Pizzo.
Yes, thank you. Items 12 and 13 are both in regard to the trifecta property that the township acquired last year for the purpose of preservation of open space and the preservation and expansion of recreation facilities here within the township. As to item 12, this resolution would authorize the submission of an open space grant application to the county to allow for open space monies that have been previously allotted to the township for the Greenway Trail to be reassigned, if you will, to the costs for the trifecta property. The county has given us indication that they are agreeable to that, and in order for that to move forward, the resolution that's before you this evening needs to be completed. It obviously authorizes, as I've just said, the submission of the application, and further authorizes the mayor, Bill Samori, and John Tchaikovsky to sign and execute and submit any and all documents that are necessary for the application to be submitted. The application will be for, and I thought it was in the resolution, but I believe in round numbers, and Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, just under $900,000,
867,000.
$867,000.
Mr. Pizzo, if we receive this grant, does that mean that we can pay back the loan that we took from the trust fund sooner? Can we use it for that purpose since we had already pulled it? We took that loan from ourselves?
Well, that's up to how you guys want to handle it. For right now, we'll put it in the general fund. If we get it, then we can apply it any way you want. And it's going to be a while before we get it. I mean, it's going to take time to go through this process. I'll say it'll be 6 months.
Well, John Jankowski sent out a pretty detailed.
Yeah, it's there. Do you have it?
I do, and that's why I'm asking. So it just
okay.
says that we would get the $863,000. The grant is strictly a reimbursement of funds already expended. So the question that I had is, are we going to use it? Look, we borrowed from ourselves to purchase a property, which at the time we all agreed was absolutely the right move. Are we going to use this to pay that down faster to make sure the money goes back to the trust fund where it belongs?
My suggestion is that's what we'll do. I mean,
Yeah, but it seemed to me from the letter that the money wouldn't be, it would be to reimburse us for improvements that are being made to that property.
I think that's the next item, Joe.
Well, I shouldn't say obviously,
That's what the grant was supposed to be used for, though. That's
but
what-
at the time council agreed to the $5 million to come from the trust fund for the acquisition and improvement of the site, at that time, there were terms by which it was determined that the money would be paid back to the trust fund. In this case, as Mr. Tchaikovsky's report shows, the township administration is only taking money out of the trust fund as needed. So although council has given the green light for up to $5 million to come out, there's still 1.2 million of that 5 million still sitting in the trust fund that hasn't come out because the township didn't need it yet. So to the extent that if and when the county should approve $867,000 coming back, at that point in time, the logical thing to do is to assess where we are in terms of money coming out of the trust fund, what we have in hand, and what we need in the future. So it may be that the 867 will go into the general fund, and more money won't have to come out of the trust fund in the future. We may be at a point where we're ready to put money back into the trust fund, but I think what the mayor was saying is it's premature at this time to say exactly what will happen with that 867, because this is all very much a fluid exercise in terms of when the money's coming out of the trust fund, and how much ultimately is going to be needed for that property.
And once we get that money, Mayor, you'll let council know, and then the decision can be made
of
then,
course,
right?
that's
Yeah,
my point. We'll wait till we get it and then we make decisions.
Thank you, Mayor.
And I think, once we get that money, if it does in fact go through, optimistically, it sounds like it will, hopefully we can sit down with Director Tchaikovsky and have an idea of what our options are and what's the best option for us to choose and how to handle that money.
Sir,
Absolutely.
if
Way to go.
if it can be earning interest, then that's obviously the township's benefit for that to be the case. To put it in only to turn around and take it out 30 days later may not make sense because of what's associated with taking money in and putting it out. So we'll see. It would be certainly our recommendation. We'll see where we are when we get that money.
Any other questions?
Now you look at it, it's a good thing,
Yeah, right.
wherever we put it.
If we're reimbursing the general fund for money that we didn't take out of the borrow against ourselves, then that's good too.
Any other questions on agenda item number 12?
Yeah, just one other quick question, Mr. Polari. The funds, the way that Mr. Tchaikovsky had it written was To convince the county to allow the township to reallocate previously approved open space funding. What was the reason for the previously approved funding for, where it was supposed to be for?
I apologize if I didn't make that clear early on. That was originally allocated for the Greenway Trail project.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So I guess if we're going to pull that from the Greenway, do we have any concerns with funding that at some point in the near future?
I don't,
That would have to be a reallocation of that. That we're nowhere near using that money, and God forbid we lose it under other. They just take it back. Being able to transfer gives us the opportunity to use it now towards the open space.
And it's
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I understand it's an immediate decision based off of the acquisition. That's fine. I just wanted to know where the original intention was. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, a motion will be in order for agenda item 12.
For number 12, I'll make the motion that we approve the resolution as submitted by the administration to approve under the Bucks County Open Space Program.
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Vote aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. 13 is to consider a resolution authorizing and approving the submission and filing of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for the Bensalem Township Trevo Soccer Field project. Mr. Pizzo?
yes, the name is the name that's been assigned to the project by DCNR in the initial phases of pursuing this money. The grant application would be, as Mr. Tchaikovsky's memo to you from earlier today explained, would be for a $250,000 matching grant from DCNR for funds that would be able to be used specifically for the improvement and development of the soccer fields at the trifecta property. This resolution, as in the case of the prior resolution, simply authorizes the submission of the grant application to DCNR by the township. It authorizes the mayor to sign the application. In this case, because we are dealing with the state, the application will be signed electronically by the mayor, and therefore this authorization, as required by DCNR, not only authorizes the mayor to not only are you authorizing the mayor to sign it electronically, but further consistent with DCNR policies, if the grant is in fact granted, then the application will become a part of the grant contract itself, and the mayor's signature on the application will also serve as a signature on the grant contract. Again, this is all standard by what the state requires. So it's their process, and the resolution is otherwise in a form acceptable for your consideration and approval this evening.
Just to add to that, Joe, that 250,000 may be something we could take out of the 800-some thousand to match that at the time comes. It's another, just giving you another thing that we could do with that money.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the board? If not, a motion would be in order.
Yeah, I'm sorry, real quick, Mr. Blair, one quick question. So I'm assuming we had several discussions amongst all of us in terms of what we were going to do with the property. I'm assuming at this point we're just going to move ahead with keeping those fields, all of them, from the lower side of the property as well as that upper side, all soccer fields at this point?
Yep, we're doing it as we speak. They won't be open this year. All that work's being done on the fields. A lot of the other work's being done. The stands all have to be fixed. They're liability right now. We can't let anybody sit there broken in different places. We're making all those adjustments as we speak and getting it done. The fields are being put into shape. We started that a few months ago. So a lot going on up there. Driveways being fixed, being made safe. So we're going all through the things that townships have to do. There's trees that had to come down. So yeah, it's moving along. A lot of work going on.
It's going to be nice.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you.
If there's no other questions, then a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution authorizing and approving the submission and filing of the grant as presented to for the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and National Resources for the Bensalem Township Trevo Soccer Field Project.
I'll second the motion.
Second, Mr. Sloan, thank you. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Number 14 on the agenda, consideration of reduction of fire inspection fees for Bensalem Township School District regarding locations listed in the memo.
This request, as council receives from time to time, is for a reduction in the fees associated, in this case, with the school district's annual fire inspections and hazardous material registration fees. The total fees, as submitted by the school district, totaled $9,300 for all of the various school facilities involved. They've also requested that two of those be canceled. That brings the $9,300 down to by $845 to a fee of $8,455. The township granting the request that the two fees be canceled at Armstrong. Such is the case. A 50-cent reduction, which is consistent with the township's policy, would bring the $8,455 down to $4,227.50.
Your pleasure, gentlemen.
I did notice that invoices, only some of the invoices were included in our packet. I don't think it matters, but just wanted to double check with Mr. Pizzo.
I believe the original forwarding letter from Mr. Matthew of March 5th, itemizing the invoices and the various school facilities, is accurate and comprehensive. So again, if you do that math, it adds up to $9,300. Subtracting the two Armstrongs is take out the $845. So again, I believe the math is accurate at $8,455.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that we approve the reduced fee for the Bensalem Township School District, 50% from $8,455 down to $4,227.50 for various fire inspection fees.
I'll second that, Mr. Blair.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Vote aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Number 15 on the agenda, public comment. Joe?
We do have some public comment this evening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the email are all applicable to the Costa subdivision plan. Unless council wants them read this evening, my suggestion, my recommendation is that we will print them out, we'll circulate them to all of you, and we can have them read into the record at the time of the Costa hearing. That way the applicant will also be available, and as would normally be the case, would be able to, you could then ask him questions regarding these emails, these public comments, at that time, if it's your pleasure. If you'd rather I read all of them this evening, I can do that as well. But it would not be inappropriate to hold them until you actually hold the hearing on that application.
My opinion, just so you know, gentlemen, would be that we hold them and bring them up on the day of the hearing, and if the people have more, they can put it in there. This way, it's in the record as we're hearing the record, and not just on this record of hearing. It'll be during the meeting itself, but that's totally up to you.
I think it's more relevant if it's read at the time we're dealing with it. We'll be able to take it more into consideration as we're making the decision.
Jesse, you have any issues with holding them?
I want to make sure that the comments are heard, but I believe that holding them, as long as they're read into the record at the time of the hearing, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, Mr. Pizzo said that'll happen. Mr. Tucknation?
I'm okay with that.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Pizzo, you'll take care of that?
Very good. Then that leaves us with two comments. The first was received from Lawrence and Donna Grace. At 918 Tennis Avenue. In reference to conditions at Newcastle Building Products / Andalusia Supply, located on Highland Ave, I and the surrounding property owners are still being impacted by the unlawful use at this location in the following ways. General property conditions at the site are slum-like, as much of the roughly 40,000 square feet of outdoor property is still covered in storage, stacked 1 and 2 stories high, inclusive of shipping containers, pallets, new and used materials, debris, racking, and so on. These conditions, along with the noise comparable to a construction site, and all of this supports mosquito and rodent infestations as it collects ponding water and nesting areas. Newcastle has relocated, but eyesore conditions remain, with tractor trailers still arriving at this site. Trailers are offloaded, then become more outdoor storage, ultimately to be reloaded onto Newcastle tractor trailers for outgoing distribution. As we, the residences, scratch our heads to date, the process that seems to be the owner of this site leases to Newcastle and makes money from unlawful leasing. Newcastle makes money from unlawful storing and redistribution at this site. Both entities are aware that they are doing so unlawfully but continue to do so. Impact of this, people prospering by imposing property devaluation, financial, health, and safety threats to others. The ongoing unlawful use and code violations, including unpermitted alterations to these properties, are known to, documented with, and have been stated by the township. These same violations by other offenders around the township have been prosecuted and/or corrected swiftly in the past. As we are in year 2 in a situation that never seems to end, can council shed some light on why this is still going on? Perhaps enforcement measures taken and timeline resolution.
I guess if there are, yeah, I guess we call in our engineers and certainly I think Neron. Are you there, Quentin?
Yes, I'm here. I was actually just going to try and reach out to Ken Farrell because I know he's been dealing with Newcastle, so I'm really not involved with it too much for over the last year and a half. So,
Well, then I'll, between you and him tomorrow,
okay.
Let's go down and whatever has to be done. I mean, they've had time now to move. I mean, I don't know what's the problem. I really don't.
Yeah, and I thought we had resolved that. I mean, it was great that they moved.
I thought they moved.
Yeah, but
We all thought that, but apparently that's not the case. So as the mayor said, we'll have Quentin and Ken first thing tomorrow morning on this one.
And you can report back to us at our next meeting so that we'll know where we are with that, Mayor.
Yeah, I don't understand why I don't know about that. If they had called our building and planning or discussed it with anybody else. I haven't heard that. This is the first time I've heard that. Maybe they have called in the office. I just don't know about it, but we'll certainly get on it immediately.
Do you have anything else, Mr. President?
The other comment is from Tony Williams at 3963 Bainbridge Court. Mr. Williams has 2 questions. 1, when will the township return to the policing of traffic lights and stop signs? Many vehicles turn right at red lights and stop signs without stopping. I observe it nearly every day and have dash cam videos to back up my comment. 2, any consideration being given for ordinances or codes for sidewalk electric vehicle connections in the townhouse communities? There are at least 2 Teslas thus far in the clusters with no means to charge them. It is the wave of the future and should be considered.
Can I answer the second question?
Sure.
Certainly.
We are installing them here at the township. As we speak, they should be, all the Engineering's been done. They'll be on the parking lot closest to Knights Road. There'll be 2 going in now with with 2 more. We'll have 4 total when we get done. So yeah, we're addressing that here at the township itself.
And Mayor, will you, be able
And
to
by,
charge,
and by the way, that's being done through a grant.
will you be able to charge any electric car or any electric car, right?
I believe so. I think Tesla though has a special, don't they, or something?
You got a special
You
one.
have to have some kind of an adaptation.
Yeah, because the Wawas have the Tesla one. And
Oh,
apparently-
just a Tesla they had?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't have an electric car, but that's what I was told.
No, and I agree with him. It is of the future. So we've been proactive on that here at the township. As far as anybody doing it independently, we can't insist that anybody do that, but it is something that we're right on top of. So that's being done as we speak here at the township.
That's great.
Thank you, Mayor.
The first question I can't answer. So that was about the cops not getting
Well,
people.
there has been no relaxation that I'm aware of in terms of police enforcement of
I'll bring that up with
stop
Fred tomorrow.
signs or traffic lights. Nothing's changed. I did get a text from Director Harron just to say that the Tesla, or the charging station, rather, that the mayor is speaking of, he believes it's about to open in about 2 weeks, and it's a universal connection.
Oh, good, good. That's why I assumed that. Yeah, I just didn't know whether Tesla was paying for it or something. No.
Mr. President, there was no specific address on there in terms of what stop sign or stoplight they were referring to?
No, there wasn't. Mr. Harron indicates that Mr. Williams does email him on a regular basis, and so he'll reach out to Mr. Williams in regard to that question as well.
Thank you.
I could be wrong, but if he lives in the clusters, it's probably Bensalem Boulevard, Route 13, where you can make it right on that red. But you know, people are honking the horn behind me, and I wasn't feeling safe to make the right yet. But you know, that's some people just like coast and go. You know, so that's what he's talking about.
Okay, any other ones, Mr. Pizzo, or is that the end?
That's it as far as emails. Mr. Harron did correct me, however, the 2 weeks was not in regard to the charging stations. The 2 weeks was in regard to the senior center. So apparently that text came in earlier and I didn't see it. So it's,
Senior Center's opening in 2 weeks? Is that what you're saying?
they're shooting for opening as early as 2 weeks from now, but again, there are a number of factors that go into place, but that's what that's
Not to debate the director, but that has not been the case. It's not opening in 2 weeks.
Well, I just needed to clarify what the 2 weeks was in regard. The 2 weeks was not in regard to the charging station.
Well, we don't want to debate that over here.
Not regarding the senior center either.
Apparently not.
They were supposed to use that for the COVID shots, and that never materialized.
Okay, we're going to close public comment.
Yeah, Chamonix Mall worked out pretty good for that. I'll tell you what, that was a well-oiled
Yep.
machine up there.
Perfect.
Okay, we're going to close public comment. Number 16, other business from supporting personnel, Mr. Mayor.
I really don't have a lot other than we're very, very, very busy here at the township. I've never seen so much people going for permits or building and planning. There's so much going on activity. It's incredible. And we're working as hard as we can down there with the staff that we have right now. We're trying to expedite things as quickly as possible. You know, I get angry when we can't get things out. I'm a business guy and I want to get it done. So I'm not asking anybody to have patience because I don't, but we're working on it to find some way to move that along. So that's been our biggest thing here right now. Just on a side note, I had a person come in I had a meeting with today, and he said he went to Home Depot to buy plywood. $67 a sheet for plywood.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How the heck are they building houses? $7 for a 10-foot 2x4. It's incredible right now. So I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I don't think it's fuel. I don't know why. The trees stop growing. I don't have an idea of why that's happening. But can you imagine something you were paying $18 for not that long ago, 67. So I said, people are buying, so they're fixing their homes, building homes. Homes go up for sale, they're gone. People are paying more than what the asking price. So, Nosey, maybe you know something. You're smarter than I am.
It's the only thing I read about it. It's COVID related. It's supply and demand like anything else, and it's COVID related.
Okay.
I caught they weren't transporting lumber, they weren't ordering it, they weren't, and then
Okay.
all of a sudden no one expected the housing market the way it hit. Kept going under COVID, and they got caught short. And the area.
Yeah, the only other thing I had to say is certainly Ed Kisselback's wife Kathy passed away, as you all know, and just keep in his prayers the families. So that's all I've got.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Pizzo?
I have nothing other than to echo the mayor's sentiments regarding Kathy Kisselback. Please, everyone, keep Ed and his family in your prayers at this difficult time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sloan?
I'd like to echo that condolences to Councilman Kesselback, and get well wishes to Director Samori. I'm glad that he's recovering. Just so the public is aware, we do have multiple COVID vaccination sites. Chamonix Mall is up and running. Some doctors' offices are finally getting it, in addition to pharmacies. And I actually have a Navy friend, Lieutenant Commander. She's a nurse who is assisting with the FEMA program down in Philadelphia at the convention center. She told me that they are running a Pfizer first dose clinic through May 4th. Walk-ins are available. So if anybody is having trouble, they can always go down there to the convention center in Philadelphia.
Thank you, Jesse. Ed Takmasian?
Thanks, Mr. Blair. Business related. Mayor, can you give us an update regarding Amazon? I know we were having some issues with the trucks going down there on Haunted. I know the homes have been acquired there, but what have we seen any progress with that?
Yes. One, they're getting ready to knock the homes down. Two, we were down there. We had a big meeting on that intersection. We had to have a meeting with the state park because we need a little bit of a right of way from them to where we widen and everything. And that seems like it was going to take an enormous amount of time to go through red tape with the state. So we've narrowed that down to where we think we don't have to. So that's just came through this week. Phil Worst told us. So we're getting ready to spend the money up there on the road. They have purchased the two other lots in back of that for parking, the old Amquip sites. So they're going to start working on that as soon as they can. They said the road widening will happen as soon as they get knocked those houses down there, and Winks Lane gets widened, obviously.
Yep.
There, so that's all in the works.
How about the truck traffic that we saw on Haunted? I know we talked about signage, something to keep those trucks off of Haunted, and then mistakenly going up there and trying to access that emergency road.
Yeah, we haven't done that signage. We asked them to do it. That's up to them. We did address that. So I don't, and they usually react very quickly. I haven't been down there since, I guess it was last week. I know they barricaded the road, that you can't get in there, but I know what you mean in case somebody goes up there, then they have to back out. There's no other way to get around.
Is there any way you can follow up with them?
Yeah, I will. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Thank
Absolutely.
you. And I'm sorry, when did you say those houses are supposed to come down?
They made application, I know, for the permits.
Okay.
They're ready to go. They want to take them down. They don't-
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, they want to go on.
Okay. All right. So you're going to follow up on. We need to figure out how to keep those trucks off of on it.
Yeah, signage for on lane.
Okay. Second point for business. I'm assuming with the township building opening that we next month we should be in council chambers.
Not at this point. We're looking at safety procedures, getting everything in order, making sure that we have the proper checking station to make sure that people's temperatures are checked and all the official stuff is going on. From what I understand, in Bucks County, cases are up in Bucks County, so we're going to do everything we can to protect the people of Bensalem Township that want to come to these meetings and be safe when they come here. So we are working on that. We will come up with the procedure of how it's going to be done, and I'll report that back to all of you.
When can we expect that, Mr. Polari? I mean, we have safety procedures for both planning and zoning.
That is exactly what I just told you is what we're working on right now. We're going to make sure the people of Bensalem that come here for meetings are coming safely. We're able to handle the amount of people that will come for our meetings and that they'll be protected. So we're working on that now. If everything's in line and in order, then our next public meeting will be in person. I will contact you and let you know as we get the procedures into place.
One of
Okay,
the variables that we're working through, Mr. Tokmajian, is that for planning and zoning, their agendas are made up of individual discrete items that, one by one, they have a process where the people are let into the room for the hearing on a particular item. The hearing's held. They then leave the room. This room is then sanitized and scrubbed down before the next group of people come in for the next hearing. And so there's a system. Your agenda doesn't necessarily lend itself to that same practice or process. And so what we're working through are protocols so that, what do we do so that this meeting doesn't become interminable and have people coming in and out just for each individual item. But at the same time, if there is an item that is going to bring out more people than this room can accommodate, how are we going to get the people in and out who might want to comment on an item? So, as Mr. Polari said, we are working on it.
Safety first.
Okay. I recognize that, Mr. Polari. I just, I think it's important to make sure that we're available in person to hear concerns, comments, questions, issues from individuals that, that want to speak in person rather than send an email where you just don't, it's hard to convey a message over email versus being in person. And we've been doing it safely for both of those boards for many months now. And we have other agencies, including the county, doing in-person meetings as well. So I just feel like it's important that that we're there to be available to those folks that want to be there.
Duly noted.
Thank
And
you.
if we're not, I mean, can we still continue to look into live streaming these meetings so that people can have live access that aren't necessarily subscribing to Verizon or Comcast?
We are working on that as well, and we believe we will have either the capability or a solution to that inquiry as well, Mr. Sloan.
Because that should be being done anyway, so even
Yeah,
though we are
yeah.
open, so.
Weird.
These are all things that are being discussed, but the safety of the people of Bensalem are the most important thing at this point in time. Mr. Tokmajian, you have anything else?
Get well to the Mr. Samori and Councilman Kisselback. My family has been friends with Kisselback family for many years, and Kathy always had a smile on her face. She was truly a good person, and I just wanted to note that Bensalem lost a wonderful woman, and I wanted to wish my sincerest condolences to Councilman Kisselback and his family. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Knowles?
Yeah, I certainly would agree that Kathy was a very good person, very good community service oriented person. Not only her husband, Ed, has served our community for decades. Kathy also has served our community for decades. And she did always have a smile on her face and loved to laugh and was a very good person. And it was a beautiful service that all of us shared. And, I send my condolences to his family. I spoke to him today. And then also for Bill Samora, we're praying for Bill Samora. I got an update on him. Apparently he's turned the corner and he's feeling stronger. He's still in the hospital, but hopefully he'll be back on his feet. He's been really blessed so far, so hopefully that'll continue. I do think that, we're making every effort to get these meetings back. I mean, in a perfect world, everybody would prefer to be in council. I miss being in council. I miss interacting personally with people. But we have to be safe. We have a different type of meeting than the county has. I think we have a different type of meeting than zoning has. I had a person go to zoning and sat in their car for like an hour and a half and got called in after an hour and a half, 2 hours sitting in their car. I don't think that necessarily would have worked with us. So I do think safety is important. We're getting towards the end here with our vaccinations. They put Johnson & Johnson's back in. I hope people get vaccinated. As you know, I've got my shots, and I personally feel good about it. I hope everybody continues to take care of themselves. It's not completely finished yet. I just lost a very good friend in the last 2 weeks who, he was compromised with his health from some issues he had in the past, but he actually had gotten his shot and then still picked up COVID that he had incubating in him, and he passed away within a couple of weeks after a second shot. So it's still dangerous out there, especially if somebody elderly, and especially if someone who has compromised other problems. So let's continue to keep our nose to the grind, and I'm wearing my mask and taking care of ourselves and getting vaccinated and doing what we can, and soon enough we'll be back, and and I'll be looking forward to it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knowles. And I agree with everything that was said tonight. Being there for Councilman Kisselback, I know has been important for all of us. It's tough when you lose your best friend and the biggest part of one of the biggest parts of your life. And we'll all be there for Ed to make sure that everything for him he needs, what he will have. Okay, the other business is completed. Our next meeting is scheduled for 5:10. At this point, adjournment would be in order. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
We're closed.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Well,